Hello, property nomads. Hope you're doing well. So, anti-motorist as the UK seems to be at the moment, or the world seems to be at the moment, and we've got another very good example of that this time in Bradford. So, the Bradford West or the West Bradford Cycle Superhighway project has launched, with work beginning on the controversial £12 million scheme, which has received the ire of drivers. Now, yes, there's always going to be this argument: cyclists versus drivers, motorists versus cyclists, and cyclists versus pedestrians, and drivers versus pedestrians. And as you've probably been accustomed to on the videos, yes, I do attack things from a driver's side point of view because, hey ho, that's what I like to do. But this has got a lot of people very angry at the area, and we'll put a link to the article in the description because actually the comments section is also genius. I haven't had a read through that this morning before recording. So what they're doing in West Bradford is a 12 million, well, we think it's a £12 million cycle lane. That's what has been given to the council from the government. So although the Bradford council area, although I believe their council's also got a lot of issues financially, I believe this has been funded by government. If it's only been part funded by the government, the article doesn't actually give us the amount that the cycle lane costs. Saying that, let me just do a screen share and get this up and running. You can see I've left these comments over on the right hand side there. You can see some of these comments. I would urge you to go and do that. Have a look for them yourself using the link in the description below. So the project will create 1.5 miles of segregated lanes for cyclists and motorists across Bradford. Work's already begun. Preliminary work, main work expected to start in April, and it's going to basically create a segregated cycle lane on Sunbridge Road in the centre of the city, as well as a two-way route along Thornton Road. And again, the idea of this is to make life easier for cyclists because, of course, you can't be making life easier for drivers because they're like landlords. You've got to just tax them and annoy them as many ways as possible because ultimately the elites don't want you driving around in your dirty diesel and petrol cars, people. And they're going to do whatever they can to stop you from doing that. And yeah, that's a different video for a different time. Originally, the government was going to put 17.5 million towards it. It's now only 12 million. Again, what isn't clear is how much the thing actually costs. Is it 12 million and that's all government funding, or is it some of it council funding as well? We don't know. What I would say on that is, going back to just printing currency and all that sort of stuff, even if it's £12 million, it seems that it's £12 million on something that people don't really want. And I'm basing that on the comments that I've read, and which you should read as well. Now, I've been to Bradford a couple of times. It has I think, quite high pollution levels. And the reason for that is, number one, the road network in general, but number two, Bradford's geography doesn't help itself either. It's pretty much surrounded by hills, and I bet you've never compared Mexico City to Bradford before. I'm just about to do it. It reminds me a little bit of Mexico City, where if you've got all of these exhausts and fumes and a lot of factories and stuff and whatnot in the valley itself, that's got to rise, and that might be getting trapped in the atmosphere as well. So that probably isn't helping the situation, despite the fact that Bradford does have a clean air zone. I think its natural geography doesn't help the situation, to be honest. All of that being said, that's a long-winded way of saying, for £12 million, is it really needed? For £12 million, have we got better things to put £12 million to? Could we not just not print that £12 million? Are there other things that we can do instead for £12 million? As you see from the article, yeah, people are coming out saying it's anti-motorist, some people saying it's pro-motorist. I honestly don't think in this situation you're ever really going to win. I think from a driving point of view, what will irk a lot of people, and regardless of what city you're in, is from a driver, you're paying your insurance, you're paying your road tax. We've got quite a poor state of roads in general. It seems like everything's becoming pro-cyclist at the moment. And, you know, the cyclists are not paying road tax, the cyclists aren't paying, you know, MOTs, they're not paying insurance, or I'm not aware of any bike insurance that exists for regular cyclists. A lot of them, you know, go through red lights, and you know they're not obeying the same rules as drivers are. I'm not saying drivers are perfect. There's a lot of videos out there of drivers getting a lot of road rage, but at the same time there's also a lot of cyclists out there, and there's a lot of videos of cyclists clearly causing accidents by either disobeying the laws of the road or going through red lights and that sort of stuff. So I'm not going to take such a blinkered view where I'm going to be so pro-motorist. I'm aware motorists are at fault for quite a few things, but I'm also aware that cyclists are going to be at fault for quite a few things as well. I've done an interview with a guy called Dave Sherry, who's a cycling enthusiast, but also actually drives professionally, he says, in London. He does say, and I quote, "I do feel a bit sorry for the car drivers. I drive the majority of my day behind the wheel, and to be honest with you, the infrastructure for cyclists now is superseding the car drivers. They are going from 2 lanes down to 1, bus lanes are disappearing," end quote. And yeah, it just seems like it's another vanity project. You can see here, this is what it will look like. Again, if people are trying to cross the road or whatever, that's probably not good. How much is being left here for people to actually drive down? Is it a main bus thoroughfare? Are we going to get heavy goods vehicles down here as well? How close is that going to be? What if cyclists don't obey the cycle lanes? Because I've seen that in Brighton as well. Cyclists sometimes go out of the cycle lane, that then affects the driver. And if the roads are narrow, that could create havoc for oncoming traffic. So again, cyclists thinking they're a law to themselves. Of course, Bradford Council come out and have said, and I quote, "There will be single lane segregated cycle routes on Sunbridge Road with 2-way routes along Thornton Road." Well, thank you. Over 23,000 cars travel along the route each day, and the scheme aims to reduce the number of people using cars on that stretch by encouraging people to cycle, end quote. So again, it seems that £12 million, and again, in the comments, people are saying that the council's near bankruptcy. How can they afford this? Well, to me, it looks like it's come from a government grant. So, but again, my argument would be, well, why is the government printing 12 million quid on this? To be perfectly honest with you, I put that under the no bueno section. And is it just another vanity project? Yeah, quite possibly. You know, Bradford is another city that's going towards having as many anti-driver policies as possible. It's got its own ultimate low emission zone section. Again, as I explained earlier, I could kind of get the geography on that, having been there a couple of times. I could kind of understand why that one's been put in place. But again, as a lot of these things, the councils are almost doing it behind this thing of, well, less drivers, more sustainable transport, etc., etc. But you've got to look at it from a point of view is, what's the investment on this? You know, if you're investing £12 million, even if it's not your own funds, you're putting £12 million into this, and let's assume it costs £12 million. What's your return on investment on this? You know, and this is where you've got to be careful with getting the eco response of, well, you get cleaner air. Yeah, but environmental economics is always okay to say until someone's got to invest their cash into it. And if you don't get a return on investment on that, no matter what you're doing, chances are it's not going to be a very good investment. And of course, in this case, if the government and the Bank of England are just printing all this currency, who's paying for it? Oh yeah, you're paying for it, I'm paying for it, we're all paying for it. And again, it comes down to you doing it under the guise of climate change and net zero, etc., etc., etc. Link is in the description. Please go and check out the comments. I found the comments fascinating, to be fair, probably better than the article itself, to be honest. Go and check out that as well. And again, you know, as we said, it's you're almost never going to win in this situation, but I do think it's part of a bigger, higher agenda to get as many people, motorists, off the road as possible. And yeah, not good is the answer. Thanks for listening to Property Nomads. As always, if you could do us a small favour, please subscribe to the channel. I think the notification thing's up there somewhere. Use the notification bell, give us a thumbs up, give us a like, give us a subscribe. We're seeing the channel grow quite nicely, and it's all thanks to your help for promoting the channel on our behalf. So thank you for doing that. Thank you very much. See you in the next video.